Australia's Great Barrier Reef is surviving climate change just fine. The hysterical predictions of doom are not panning out. According to the New American, the climate hysteria movement is replete with predictions of utter doom for various ecosystems on Earth owing to the scourge of man-made global warming, which has been rebranded climate change. But a new study shows that one of those ecosystems, Australia's Great Barrier Reef, seems to be doing just fine despite dire warnings of its imminent demise. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef system. It stretches over 1,400 miles along Australia's northeast coast off the state of Queensland. It encompasses an area of approximately 133,000 square miles of the Coral Sea in the South Pacific. It includes some 900 islands and more than 2,900 individual reefs. For several years, climate alarmists have been claiming that the Great Barrier Reef, along with all the coral reef systems on the planet, is essentially doomed because of climate change. The predictions have been apocalyptic for the reef. A 2020 story from CBS exclaimed that half of the Great Barrier Reef corals have been killed by climate change. A Sri Lankan source even announced in 2019 the Great Barrier Reef is dead. No less an authoritative source than the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reported in 2018 that 70 to 90% of corals would be lost across the globe if their arbitrary 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in global temperature was breached. Should the global temperature increase reach 2 degrees Celsius, the IPCC predicted 99% of Earth's coral systems would be lost. These ominous pronouncements have not come to pass, at least not yet, according to a study published earlier this month by the Australian Institute of Marine Sciences, AIMS for short. In 2022, widespread recovery has led to the highest coral cover recorded by the Long-Term Monitoring Program in the northern and central GBR, largely due to increases in the fast-growing Acropora corals, which are the dominant group of corals on the GBR, Great Barrier Reef, and have been largely responsible for previous changes in hard coral cover, the study said. They concluded the prognosis for future disturbance regimes suggests increased and longer-lasting marine heat waves, as well as the ongoing risk of outbreaks of crown of thorns starfish and tropical cyclones. Therefore, while the observed recovery offers good news for the overall state of the Great Barrier Reef, there is increasing concern for its ability to maintain the state. But what exactly is the Great Barrier Reef recovering from currently? Has so-called climate change already taken its pound of flesh from the delicate ecosystem? While climate hysterics would have you believe the man's CO2 emissions and flatulent dairy cows have been destroying the Great Barrier Reef, the reality is much more mundane and far more reasonable. According to Peter Ridd, Australian marine geophysicist, the Great Barrier Reef is one of the most fluctuating ecosystems on Earth and is distinguished by boom or bust cycles that can last a decade or more. Ridd speculates that a prolonged El Niño pattern has bathed the Great Barrier Reef in relatively warm water since 2016, which causes bleaching of the reef system. You could tell that this year was going to be a really good year. Last year was a really good year. This year is just a bumper year for coral. You don't get records every year. So like the climate and the weather, coral reefs tend to trend upward and downward naturally, he said. Over the years, the Great Barrier Reef has become the mascot for climate hysteria, similar to the polar bear. Climate alarmists have used the Great Barrier Reef bust cycles to prove that climate change is truly destroying the world. But just like the polar bears, the Great Barrier Reef keeps defying those doomsday pronouncements. This is on WND. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.